I'd like to welcome everybody to this week's Texas Roadhouse press conference. I'd first like to welcome the new Athletics Development Director, Casey Carson, comes from Texas Tech. She's with us today. It's a really busy week in athletics as it is the start of the spring season. On Thursday, we will have a men's and women's basketball doubleheader at Eastern New Mexico in Portales, starting at 6:30 Central Time. And then Friday, baseball has their home and season opener at 2 o'clock against West Texas A&M. Saturday, men's tennis starts their season at UT Arlington at 10 a.m. Baseball is home once again at 2 o'clock against West Texas A&M. Men's and women's basketball are up in Canyon at West Texas A&M beginning at 2 o'clock, where the women take on number 18 Lady Buffs, and the men will play number 4 West Texas A&M at 4 o'clock afterwards. And softball begins their season in Conroe, Texas this Saturday with a game at 3 against Henderson State and another game against Southeastern Oklahoma at 8 o'clock. And then Sunday, men's tennis is at Tyler Junior College at 10 a.m. Baseball wraps up their series with West Texas A&M at 1 o'clock. And then softball has another doubleheader. They play Minnesota Duluth at 12:30 before taking on number 7 Central Oklahoma at 3. So it's a really, really busy week coming up for us, but only baseball is home. But let's start today's press conference with head men's basketball coach Josh Newman, whose Falcons are coming off 2 thrilling games, to say the least.
Something like that. Ready?
Nope.
Yeah, we had 2, fantastic games this weekend. Obviously, 2 big games for us. Every game this late in the season is big when you talk about postseason play and position yourself for the conference tournament and maybe even after that in the NCAA tournament. So 2 games we felt like we had to have. Give our guys a tremendous amount of credit, but I will tell you that all the credit goes to the flock, the home crowd, the band, the cheerleaders, because our late game free throw line defense has been phenomenal. And that truly is because of the people that are in the gym. I would tell you that our crowd right now, and in my opinion, is the best home court advantage in the league. And it really shows, especially late. So we wouldn't be here and be as happy as we are without them and their heroics the last couple games, especially the last 2 free throws of each game for the opponent.
Coach, you got 2 games this week against teams that you had 1 possession games against the last time. What do you do in their gym this time? What do you do to keep your kids under control, not trying to do too much to get that victory?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, both games were basically 1 possession. The Eastern New Mexico game came with the last possession. Then we had to foul versus West Texas with 3 minutes to go. It's a 3-point game. So we just got to make sure that we value the ball. We talked about this a little bit earlier, is that we don't go for home run plays. I know baseball and softball are right around the corner, but we don't have home run plays. We've got 3s, 2s, and 1s, and that's all we got. So we got to make sure they understand they got to value the ball, take care of every possession, realize every moment is a big moment, especially when you're playing league games and it comes down to 1 play or 2 plays. So we've got to value the ball and be locked in for 40 minutes, especially on the road if we want to have success.
Coach, I'm sure you've thought about this a lot, but the sports world was kind of rocked yesterday with the tragic death of Kobe. Can you just kind of talk about what he meant for you and then kind of his impact on the game of basketball as well?
Yeah, so obviously I've had a lot of thought about it. Obviously this is part of our profession, and Kobe Bryant's an icon, not only in the basketball world, but in every facet of the world. I really believe he's a renaissance man. What I mean by that is he's so much more than basketball. He's a father. He's obviously a husband. He's a man with many, many talents, and it shows of his impact. What I kind of take away from it is, obviously I'm extremely upset for their families. It's sad. Anytime something like this occurs, it makes you kind of evaluate a little bit of who you are, what you're about, and what I hope this kind of, gives people, and even my players more particularly, a time of reflection. And that they can sit back and say, okay, what do I need to do? How can I be a better person? How did Kobe impact me? But why do we like Kobe? What was the thing that motivated us to be drawn to him? And in my opinion, basketball is just a small part of it. And so my wish is that people, when they think about him, they think about his determination, his work ethic, his commitment to excellence, and whatever it might be. And to respect him and to pay tribute to him, go out and do that. be a professional. Be the best you can be in your craft. We talk all the time to our guys about win the day. You just never know when your day is going to come. So if you try to win every single day, when that moment comes, you'll be prepared for it. So it is truly sad, obviously. I think and I hope that people can reflect personally and make better choices for themselves and make a better impact for everybody around them.
Yeah, Coach, a lot of your players were tweeting yesterday about the death, and I just want to know, have you been able to talk to your players about the situation at all?
No, we're going to talk about it today. We meet here in about 30 minutes, and I really am going to talk to them about how do you respond. You know, what did you respect about the man? What is it that drew you to him? And hopefully, it is things that we just mentioned. If that's the case, then be like that. You know, we always wonder what comes out of death, and you know, I think sometimes really good things come out of death. And you can learn a lot from situations, and this is going to something that we all need to reflect on, particularly young men that play basketball. How can they use this to be better, not just basketball-wise, but as future husbands and future fathers and future employees and employers? I mean, how can they use this to become better in their own personal lives? And I hope that's something that we can really touch on here in about 30 minutes. The thing that I keep thinking about with the situation is Kobe and his daughter. You know, my daughter's 12. She plays basketball. That's kind of what's hitting me pretty hard. Is trying to relate to that situation and just kind of put it all in perspective. And then how can I take advantage of my time with my daughter and my family? Just trying to make her cry at the press conference.
Sorry,
We
Coach.
try.
Sitting
Try.
here.
Yeah. So,
That's it.
anything else?
Next matchup.
Yeah, so Eastern New Mexico, don't cry, Aaron. Eastern New Mexico, you know, they're better than the record. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. They've been in a lot of basketball games. They're talented. They're coming off the road. They're going to be hungry to get a win. It was a very competitive game. I think our guys will be ready for that game. You know, I think it came down to one possession, and we need to be better for 40 minutes. We can't leave it up to one possession. I think our guys will be locked in and ready to go. And obviously the next game after that, we're playing number 14 in the country, and we're going to have to play as good as we played all year long. I thought, as question brought up earlier, I thought we had a chance, and we were right where we needed to be. We just didn't finish the game. So most importantly, though, is Thursday, keeping this streak alive, doing the things that we've done, eliminating some of the things that have made these games really close. We've got to kind of, again, eliminate those mistakes. And if we can keep growing, then I like where our basketball team is heading.
How important was it to get Carson the game before these two games come up? And obviously, he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was 22 points important. He impacted the game. There was a stretch in the second half where they couldn't guard him, and he truly pushed the game from one end to the other. And you know, he's a very good player. And when you have all your players, you know, on the roster, on the floor, it makes a difference. We're still obviously short with Jordan, but having Carson back absolutely impacted our game, and we needed it because unfortunately now Isaac Hernandez is out. So we don't want to do that, but unfortunately, you know, Isaac got hurt in the game the other day, and Carson stepped back up and stepped out there and made an immediate impact with our team.
There's Donovan Carlisle. He's been able to hit shots that, quite frankly, I don't think we've seen early in the season. What kind of impact do you think he's had, especially, you know, since Christmas break?
You know, I think confidence. I think just becoming more and more comfortable. You know, we talk about this all the time as a staff. I mean, this team is still relatively new together. I mean, they have not played a season together. The only returners that you have on the floor are Miles, Adam, Isaac. That's it. And so these guys are maybe starting to figure out a little bit about what they can do, who they can do it with. And Donovan's played really well. You know, Pat has made him a better player. Isaac's made him a better player because they're setting him up to take shots and make shots that he can make. Take shots that he can make. And then obviously Malik Anderson has been fantastic. And then Fernandez Jones has been fantastic lately. They're both shooting the ball at a very high clip. And so I think they're just kind of coming into their own, and that's kind of what you expect. You know, second part of the season, getting ready for the conference tournament, you want to see that growth and maturity, and I think we're starting to see it.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Next up is head women's basketball coach Ray Boothe, whose Falcons are coming off a 1-1 week and only trailed by 4 points to number 3 Texas A&M Commerce in the fourth quarter of Saturday's game.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Okay, Coach, so, you know, down by just 5 there going into the fourth quarter of Saturday's game, what do you think happened there with your team, or do you think they just weren't able to keep up with
I think Commerce decided to take over. You could kind of see it. They found another level of play. I also think, we lost a player early in the fourth, Jordan going down, and I think that kind of took the wind out of us a little bit. They made huge plays, and I just don't think that we could rally back, and then the game got away from us. Second chance points for them, points of transition, but really just probably a lack of depth on our end and a lack of guard play. We had Rory Carter that fell out early in the fourth. She's a point guard. Jordan that went down early in the fourth, another point guard. And then Kayla, who was at best maybe 50% at that point in the game. So I think that not having a point guard on the court really hurt us against the pressure, and they converted those. 4-point swing just about every trip after that.
Even with the battered bunch, y'all were still able to stick with them until the last 5 minutes of the game against an undefeated team. I mean, that's big. What was your message to your team after the game?
Well, we talked a lot after the game, but I think what we did really well was execute a game plan to keep them out of the paint. So they score a lot of paint points in transition, so we weren't going to throw the ball away. I think we did a fairly good job of not turning the ball over in the backcourt, because that against Commerce is definitely going to be a 4-point swing. If we were going to have a turnover, it was going to be in the front court, and we designated people that were going to have to be back every possession to try to limit their transition points. I think we did a pretty good job on that. That's where they really, why they are 18-0, now 19-0, is their ability to transition and get high-quality shots in the rim. I think we executed that. That's the first game plan that I thought we really started with and stuck with. And priorities, I just think at the end of the game, the last 6-7 minutes in particular, we didn't have the gas to do that, or really the guard play to do that against a team as quick and athletic as Commerce.
Did you use up a lot of emotion in the second quarter coming back? And then you got the break and kind of everybody got a chance to regroup on both sides, and it seemed that they came in pretty much steady themselves in the third quarter. Commerce did.
Yeah, I think for us, right out of halftime seems to always be a problem. Other teams go on runs, and we try to mix it up, talk quicker, talk the whole time, get more shots up. But I think I like the first 2 minutes of the third quarter back. Obviously, the last 5 minutes of the game, and I think if we were able to redo those or refocus a little bit better, maybe it would have been a different run at the end. But I think we were able to see some success in the buy-in of the game plan. And I think when we got that, we did get some confidence, as opposed to maybe when we played LCU, who was #1 at the time. We really didn't have a great amount of confidence in our ability to keep up with them. So I think seeing some success early really helped us against Commerce until the fourth quarter.
And you talk about that confidence, especially for a young team. It's all about mentally, how do they take this, and sticking with this team for the whole game. How do you think a young team like yours kind of affects them for the next matchup coming up?
I think we're looking at the last 9 games left, and we know what we need to do to hopefully qualify for the conference tournament. I believe every person on our team, that's the standard, that's the expectation. So I think the confidence has grown. I also think having players back helps, even though now we're down a couple more. But I do think that everybody on our team has stepped up at one time or another, and we know we're special if we can all get going on the same day. So we were going to need to do that this week against Eastern at Eastern and WT at WT.
Coach already asked Coach Newman about it, but Kobe's death was pretty tragic yesterday. But he was also such a champion for women's sports, and his daughter had already verbally committed to UConn. He said that he wanted to see her play in the WNBA. So what kind of impact did he have on women's basketball?
Well, I think it was actually tweeted, somebody showed it to me, that the WNBA wanted him to be the next commissioner. And so I think that's pretty awesome. But not just that, but sports in general. He was at the Women's World Cup last year, just a very good sports icon. Obviously, he won a Grammy, but even his basketball, what I remember the most is what he did after he retired. What he wrote, I don't know if you guys saw that, but that animated video that went along with it was just pretty awesome. The fact that he could speak multiple languages, just an extremely talented human being. So I think it's pretty awesome for what he did for the world, but definitely basketball and women's basketball.
Cool.
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 Thanks, Coach.
Next up is swimming and diving coach Cam Kainer, whose Spartans are coming off a win over Southwestern in their final meet before conference.
Oh, Academy Award, take that out.
Oh no, we're not posting that. We got you. We got you.
Seriously, do a voiceover.
Good weekend for UTPB swim and dive. Got a team victory against Southwestern University Division III competition at Georgetown, Texas. Did really well. Last meet of the regular season, we've got our conference championships coming up here in about 3 weeks on Wednesday. So really just continuing our training regimen and then starting our taper period here in the next couple of weeks. So really exciting time of the year. Got to keep people healthy. Got to keep people excited about the rest of the season. Know that we're down to the wire and got to do everything we can to be our best at conference.
And then you talk about this 3-week span. How are you going to be able to keep your team motivated, and what do you think they need to work on throughout this period of time?
I think way to keep the team motivated is just doing a lot of fast stuff in practice and a lot of racing between each other. Seeing exciting times during the hardest part of the season is something that keeps them motivated. And so we actually swam, pretty decently this past weekend, hitting some times that you don't normally see in January when you're kind of beaten down and broken down. And that kind of keeps them excited, but then just keeping, the energy level up at practice, us being exciting as a coaching staff, kicking the jams while we're going there too, and just having a great time with everybody and making sure that we're being as personable as we can with our workouts and trying to be, on top of everything as much as we can. A lot of things we can certainly work on, but right now is the time to keep the confidence high in everybody as well. So there may be some stroke stuff that we want to work on, but for the most part, we've got to keep their confidence high and know that they put in the work, they put in the time. We just can't screw it up as coaches with the taper and ruin it for them. So as long as they stay healthy, I think everything else will work out.
Okay.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, one good thing I guess about this 3-week span is that you get some time to recover. So how nice is that going into the conference championship?
It's incredibly nice. We've had periods of the season where we've had about 5 or 6 meets in a row. And so having a 3-week period is probably our longest time off since our mid-season championship and through the winter break. So it gives us a really good opportunity to keep working hard through that time, but also recover a little bit and not necessarily overdo it. Right now we should be hitting some pretty high yardage, but once we get to the next week or so, we start dropping a little bit over time. And again, just making sure that we stay healthy and kids aren't running around campus going crazy and using all that energy that they should be putting into the pool. So.
Is there anything that really changes with the training or anything, or are you kind of just trying to stick to the same, and as well as trying to also amplify some rest in there as well? For sure. So a lot of it is rest. I'd say a lot of the training stays similar. It's just implementing a lot more rest in between. So usually we'll do a lot of longer yardage sets with not a lot of rest in between where they're really working hard over a long period of time. So where now we just kick down the yardage a little bit, but give like an extra 4 or 5 minutes in between each set of okay, take some time to recover, do some easy swimming, and be ready to go for the next time that you get up on the block. So we had a really good set this morning that our assistant coach put together that really challenged them of going fast for one period of time, get about 4 minutes rest, and then they have to go faster kind of later on in practice. And it was just a really good opportunity to see how we're doing right now in our training and where we're going to go from there.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Nikita and Tyler, but Jazzy picked up 2 wins this past weekend as well. Can you just talk about his confidence boost?
He is like the Energizer Bunny, that guy. He is one of the most hyper kids I've ever had. He's just got a lot of energy, and at this meet, he was a real spark plug just because it is a meet where, again, we're pretty tired, but he's going out there swimming fast, going an almost in-season best in his 100 breaststroke, and then in the 200 breaststroke, almost went faster what he went in his 100 breaststroke to open up the 200 breast. So it was pretty crazy how fast he was going and just trying to hold on throughout the entire meet. He really lit a fire under a lot of people and got people going. It was just fun to see him stay consistent and stay strong.
And then Jack and Reese, the family deal, huh?
For sure, yeah. His sister did a fantastic job. won the 200 freestyle, was big on a couple relays as well. And, she's been a great addition for us, and, their family is just fantastic and have been huge supporters of us since Jack came here, and it's just great to have them there, and they push each other in practice. I mean, there's times at the end of practice where they'll just get up on the blocks and race each other, where he'll do breaststroke and she'll do freestyle and try to beat each other in that type of swim. So it's just a lot of fun that they're having, and it bleeds out into the rest of the team as well, where everybody stays loose and everybody enjoys it. So, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And last up today is head baseball coach Reinke, whose Falcons opened the season this weekend against West Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi, Coach.
Hi, how are you? Before we get going, I want to express our condolences to the Midland College baseball family and Bo Altobelli, whose uncle, aunt, and cousin were on the helicopter with Kobe. Bo's a friend of our program. My assistants actually know him really well, and I've known Bo for a few years, played at Texas Tech, and then been coaching at Midland, so yesterday was pretty hard for us, for everybody, for sure. Just wanted to say that before we get going.
Talk about Friday, how's it been up to?
Boy, if this isn't the craziest year. 7 months ago when we knew we had to make schedule changes, when the Lone Star and Heartland were combining, and coaches don't want divisions because they think it's unfair if you don't play this team and this team. And, when this schedule got floated around, I'm not gonna lie, I initially thought it was a great idea. It's not. It's one of those ideas that looks good on paper, and the closer you get to it, you're like, oh yeah, we don't get, and it goes for us, it'll go for WT, it'll go for everybody. We don't know anything right now. Usually you get 10, 12 non-conference games and can run into that, and we like to do that. We used to play a couple Division I games on the Tuesdays. Our schedule's set. So for structure, it's great. As long as weather holds, you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And no Tuesday games. So it helps with kids in school, helps with just the overall structure of everything. But, leading off the weekend, playing the number 13 team in the country, you don't know and they don't know, which could be a positive for us. But I certainly would feel more comfortable if we've been playing non-conference games for 2 or 3 weeks, knowing where we were going. Beginning of the year, your rotations are never set. Essentially, you have ideas, but are we only going 3 innings the first weekend out? And that's supposed to be the time that you use to build up and be prepared for conference. So essentially, it's exactly like a Major League Baseball schedule. Every single game counts. And I think that's how you have to approach it. If you have a 3 or 4 game set on the weekend, and if something goes wrong in one of the games, you might have to just bail out and make sure that you're ready for the next game and adjust on the mound a little bit.
And Coach, there's a lot of unknown, like you just mentioned, but what is one thing you do know about the outwork of your team right now?
The one thing I know, and we had a pretty good core group last year. We have a lot of guys that played together in junior college, and I think the cohesion of these guys is farther ahead than where we've been in the last couple of years. And I think they are willing to do whatever we ask, and they're willing to do it right, and we just need to make sure that we can continue to do that once the season starts.
Are there any positives to jumping right into your conference schedule?
Yeah, maybe WT's not ready either.
You talked about the kids have to be ready every single game. Your kids have to be focused.
Yeah, and that's, listen, we're dealing with 18 to 23-year-old kids. There's certain times that's going to wane. It's just the way it works. But, we have 3 game sets the first 2 weekends. And then we start with the 4 game sets. So it will expand in a couple weeks to that extra game on Saturday. And yeah, the factor of being locked in, the factor of being able to do that, it will be I mean, it will be necessary. I mean, we have 30, I think we have 34, 35 guys active on the roster, maybe even 36, which means when we go on the road, we only dress 28. So there's still, I mean, even after the first couple weeks, I mean, our roster will change week to week based on, obviously injuries creep in, but obviously performance is something that we will have to use for rosters.
Do you have who would you count on as your leaders right now then going into the guys, like you said, that are experienced, but are there a couple like on the pitching staff and the middle infield? Or?
Yeah, I mean, our middle infield is basically new. Gabe Melendez played third last year. He'll be back. He'll start at shortstop. Trevor Berg will open up for us on Friday. He's a junior college transfer. Pemron Burrows, I think, is the guy that will, if he's good, I think we'll be fine offensively. I mean, he'll hit leadoff for us. We have a lot of junior college transfers, which is what we needed to infuse into our roster, just ability-wise. So there's plenty of guys that have the ability to lead, and a lot of them are actually new. So it's just, that's their persona, their personality, and I think they'll do a fine job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yep.
Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.